Why counseling women? Why not just counseling people? Why the need for a specific focus on this half of the population? There are many answers to these questions, beginning with the reality that, although males and females inhabit the same world, they have markedly different experiences in it. As a global society, we are invested in gender. Gender and gender differences are not inherently problematic. However, issues arise when they become markers for which individuals are esteemed or devalued. Every day in the United States, women face many different forms of gender oppression and discrimination. Examples range on a spectrum from sexist jokes said in passing to sexual harassment and coercion, physical abuse, rape, and even murder. A sexist joke and an act of sexual violence might be dismissed as two very different and unrelated events, but they are in fact related. These two behaviors are connected by the presence of sexual objectification. Almost every day, when you're flipping through social media, magazines, or walking down the street, you are at least subjected to see a picture of a half naked woman posted somewhere. To some people, the picture just may be a picture of a half naked woman, and to some, the picture may mean more. To a little girl or a woman, they may look at the picture and think the images of over sexualized women as someone to aspire to be like or look like, for the picture is perceived to be sexy with unrealistic body features. Global estimates published by World Health Organization indicate that about 1 in 3 women, or 35% worldwide, have experienced either physical and or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence in their lifetime. Globally, as many as 38% of murders of women are committed by a male intimate partner. Given its ubiquitous nature and contributing status to the perpetuation of gender violence and other sexist beliefs and behaviors, sexual objectification demands a detailed exploration in order to reach a more nuanced understanding of its consequences. Sexual objectification occurs when a woman's body, body parts, or sexual functions are isolated from her whole and complex being and treated as objects simply to be looked at, coveted, or touched. Once sexually objectified, the worth of a woman's body or body part is directly equated to its physical appearance or potential sexual function, and is treated like it exists solely for others to use or consume. The mental health repercussions of constant sexual objectification have only fairly recently begun to be questioned and explored within the field of psychology, with researchers often taking cues from feminist literature and theory. Less than 20 years ago, Fredrickson and Roberts presented objectification theory as a framework through which to better understand the experiences of and psychological risks faced by women in a culture that is constantly looking at, evaluating, and objectifying the female body. Through the foundational lens of objectification theory, this review will discuss the problems with sexual objectification among women and their impact on women's health. Women frequently face sexual objectification in daily interpersonal interactions and through the active and passive consumption of multimedia. Miles McLean and colleagues argue that these two main avenues of exposure create a continuous stream of sexually objectifying experiences and images. Interpersonal sexual objectification occurs in the forms of unwanted body evaluation and sexual advances. The Interpersonal Sexual Objectification Scale, or ISOS, developed by Kazi, measures the extent of individuals' sexually objectifying encounters. The IOS qualifies behaviors like catcalling and whistling, sexually insinuating stares, leering, and inappropriate sexual comments made about a woman's body as unwanted forms of body evaluation. Some of these behaviors are now commonly referred to as microaggressions, which Nadal and Haynes define as brief and commonplace daily verbal, behavioral, and environmental indignities, often unconscious and unintentional, that communicates hostile, derogatory, or invalidating messages. Szymanski, Carr, and Motif argue that the experience of sexual objectification is not limited to interpersonal interactions with strangers or acquaintances. Most media outlets create further scenarios that expose women to sexual objectification, especially considering that more women than men are depicted in the media in a sexually objectifying manner. Advertisements, television shows, movies, music videos, printed media, and pornography all rampantly depict sexually objectifying images of women. Additionally, they often include characters who engage in sexually objectifying behaviors and include camera shots that place viewers in a sexually objectifying point of view. Objectification theory posits that constant exposure to sexually objectifying experiences and images socializes women to internalize society's perspective of the female body as their own primary view of their physical selves. This internalization is often referred to as self objectification, and it's characterized by varying levels of thoughts and behaviors such as self conscious body monitoring, surveillance, and comparison of one's body or body parts to the cultural standard or ideal. Self objectification is even found in women who view sexual objectification as harmless or even complimentary. Research has also linked self objectification to mental health outcomes such as depression, disordered eating, and reduced productivity. Current literature makes it clear that sexual objectification is both directly and indirectly linked to various mental health distresses and disorders in women, including anxiety, depression, disordered eating, and reduced experiences of productivity. Constant experiences of sexual objectification cause women to internalize society's scrutiny, leading to habitual body monitoring and self consciousness, which in turn increases feelings of body shame and appearance anxiety and diminishes states of productivity. The literature at hand is informative, but it is merely a platform whose roots and implications must be explored further. First of all, participants in most of the existing literature are overwhelmingly white, college aged, educated women who identify predominantly as heterosexual if and when they are asked about their sexuality. Future research should further strive to include or isolate women of different races and ethnicities, varying sexual identities, education levels, and socioeconomic statuses to account for the possible interaction effects these variables might have with experiences of sexual objectification. Existing research also includes the importance of media as a major contributing factor in women's sexuality objectifying experiences. Future researchers should take note the expanding realm of social media and its role in multiplying the presentations of sexually objectifying images of women, as well as providing women with a potential platform to visually self-objectify. Furthermore, it is important to remember that though men are the main perpetrators of the sexual objectification of women, they are also exposed to it and experience it. Sexual objectification awareness initiatives should not only be directed at girls and women, but at boys and men, parents and teachers. Despite various limitations, the present data and its implications for female development and mental health trajectories should still be seriously considered in the realms of public health, policy, education, and mental wellness. Going back to my question, why counsel women? I chose this topic because of my passion for helping women. When looking at this, I realized there was little support for these women who are impacted by sexual objectification, as well as not very many tools for therapists. Overall, there are indeed implications of these findings for clinicians and training. First, it is encouraged for clinicians to educate themselves about how gender socialization may influence their own values, perceptions, and experiences. Thus, it is imperative that training programs increase trainees' levels of awareness of their own values and beliefs related to gender, including those that relate to sexual objectification. In addition, it may be helpful to have trainees analyze their own therapeutic case conceptualizations of specific clients to examine how their own worldviews and gender role concepts influence their interactions, interventions, diagnoses, and treatment plans with clients. Equally imperative is for therapists to increase their awareness of the effects of gender role socialization, stereotyping, and sexism on the development of girls and women and their psychological and physical health. Thus, it is important to increase trainees' knowledge about the ways that many women are socialized into patterns of preoccupation with appearance and beauty. In addition, there is also need to increase knowledge about the prevalence of sexual objectification and its correlates of women via lectures, readings, films, class discussions, experiential activities, and assignments illustrating the sexual objectification of women. Equally crucial for trainees is the need to be informed about the ways in which a lack of awareness and knowledge can contribute to potentially harmful assessment and therapeutic interventions, interactions, and outcomes with women. Trainees need to be given ample opportunities and experiences to hone their gender aware and culturally relevant assessment and therapy skills. As such, training programs need to have practicum and internship placement available that serve diverse group of female clients and that specialize in areas related to sexual objectification of women, such as rape crisis centers, eating disorder treatment centers, and substance abuse clinics. Consistent with a social justice agenda, students need to be taught how to provide prevention, outreach, and community and social advocacy. Overall, we are in a unique position to deliver culturally competent and strength based clinical services to clients struggling with issues related to the cultural practices of sexually objectifying women. Together, we can raise public awareness of the prevalence and negative impact of sexual objectification on women and girls and on men and boys, and challenge practices and policies that create oppressive sexually objectifying contexts for women.